Welcome to a Saturday night episode of Taking It to the Nub. I'm your host, Boston Jimmy, and tonight I have a fun guest. You know him as Ryan Gallimore, owner of the Cigar Circus. You might have seen his grand opening last month. We did some coverage of that. But we're going to talk PCA tonight and what it was like at the show. And we're going to try to get different perspectives from what Ryan does as a distributor versus what maybe shops do versus what I do as media. But before we do that, let's launch into a short commercial advertisement so we can help pay the bills. And then we're going to get right back to the show.
Is brought to you by Casa Cuevas Cigars. In the 19th century, Juan Cuevas, Spanish immigrant from Santander, began what was to be a family business which now spans 4 generations. Like others fortunate enough to live and work in Pinar del Rio province of Cuba, Juan commenced cultivating tobacco, turning it into a successful business. Years later, in the Ciabo Valley of the Dominican Republic, Luis Cuevas Sr., Juan Jr.'s son, carried on the family tradition of handcrafting fine cigars in the family's cigar factory, Tabacalera Las Lavas. Today, Luis Sr. is joined by his son Luis Jr. in the manufacturing and sale of premium long filler cigars. So check out Casa Cuevas Cigars at www.casacuevascigars.com and on their Instagram and Facebook channels.
Catelli Cigars is back. The past few years brought many questions and changes to the cigar industry. In the wake of all uncertainty, Catelli Cigars decided to take a break and try their hand in the retail side of cigars. With 2 shops under their belt, first Riverside Cigar Bar and now the Catelli Cigar Lounge in Vero Beach, Florida, they are now more educated in the retail and the wholesale sides of the cigar business. During this time, they received many inquiries about their cigars returning to the market. Making the difficult decision to take a break from their brand was eased knowing that when the time was right, Catelli would be back, and now they are. Catelli is excited to bring their first release, the Catelli Box Air, back to market. The Box Air, a rich box-pressed San Andreas Mexican Maduro with a Nicaraguan binder and filler, come in Box Air's 3 original sizes, Robusto, Toro, and Gordo. You can check out Catelli Cigars at catellicigars.com. And also check out their Facebook and Instagram pages. All right, let me bring Ryan in. Welcome. Haven't seen you in forever.
Few days. Few days.
Been a few days, right? We had a good time at the show. We had some good food, didn't we?
Yeah, some good food. It was nice out there.
Yeah.
Different than being in Vegas is nice.
It was definitely it was cooler, especially in the evening. Enjoyed that. Didn't enjoy the walking up and down half a mile of a convention floor. I needed that golf cart you had years ago.
Yeah. That was my first trade show. My first presenting trade show.
I know, and you did a great job. I imagine nobody picked up on that.
Well, there was no
PCA
golf
should have
carts
done.
this year.
Yeah, they could have just had a PCA golf cart, right? I mean, it worked. It was good, right?
I think we
You
have
could
a
have got
union
advertising
too, but
on it, right? They could have got people to advertise on the golf cart. Like you put yours, they could have just made it into like a NASCAR, just.
they did a good job though. I mean, I think there's a lot of young blood over there, so they probably wasn't around when we did that, but there's they did a good job with the show this year.
Yeah, I got to give kudos to Josh Oberski and his whole team. One of the things I talked to a number of people who were at the 2015 trade show in New Orleans, and there was a number of them that were like they didn't know what to expect when they got there because they didn't like the 2015 trade show. They
Yeah.
didn't like New Orleans as it was set up, and the seems like the overwhelming comments coming out were, "Yeah, we're ready to go back next year. Like we don't need Vegas right now." They kind of like this and the way things were going.
I mean, for a big guy, there was a lot of walking, my friend. There was a lot of walking around New Orleans, but it was good though. I mean, I didn't feel too. It
Did,
flowed. They did a good job making it flow.
did you have to ice your knees when you came home?
I did get a pedicure with like an hour massage. So
Because I actually iced my knees up one day. I know John Rima was saying he iced his knees for a few days, man. He was hurt puppy, man, when he got back. He said, man, it's a half a mile back in one direction. Okay. So and and those that don't know that might be watching, I mean, it's just a haul. And if you don't have it mapped out from the 1,000 to the 4,000 section, you got some appointments that you didn't pay attention to, you're hightailing it between things. So, but
well, I don't. I typically don't make appointments. I mean, in years past, I've made appointments. This year, I didn't even know I was going, so I kind of decided to, get in the car and drive out the very last minute. And next year, I will definitely have appointments based on the location of the booth, not based on availability. Like I'm booking my appointments first in booth order. There's no more walking left to right of the trade show to do business.
no, you got to do it. Starting do the 1,000 section, the 2,000 section, right? Break it into three sections for 3 days. And I think they should really have. People told me I had to leave early on Monday. I had to get home, my dog, and all this other stuff, issues going on in the house. So I was originally going to leave in the afternoon on Monday, and I cut it short. So I was doing even a double time going through because there were people I scheduled that I figured would be a lighter Monday, and I'd be able to sit with some of my people have been sponsoring me for a long time, be able to sit with them. It won't be as crowded. They'll have time to just talk, pick up on what's been happening. And I couldn't do that. I was just like going crazy, bouncing around. But people told me that even on Monday, it was kind of quiet Monday. Were you on the floor Monday?
Yeah, I was on the floor Monday. Um, I mean, the booths that I went to were still busy on Monday. So I had some appointments, Monday with some big companies,
Hmm.
and I was waiting in line to sit down. So
So you weren't muscling yourself in like you do with me at Forge and just push me aside and just started flashing $100 bills and buying shit, huh?
I was trying to complete an agenda. You were in my way.
Yeah, yeah, that's okay. I
But
had I had an appointment, but
I didn't.
I gave it to you. You took my
I didn't.
appointment.
I did give you all the samples they gave me. So I mean,
Yeah, but that but
man,
that was
that's the constant battle though for the industry. I mean, I've seen this happen now for 15 years, and you've been around for a
Mhm.
long time. There's a battle between media, retailers, and brands, and what the appropriate amount of time is for all parties
Correct.
to get their individual business needs taken care of at this type of show. Um, and for me, when I run into media, people, I just need to put my
You
order in, man. Get out of my way.
no, you switch yourself into like brand mode
Roll in a
when you're
China
there.
shop.
And I get it, and I try to do my best. I make a point, I make some appointments, but even when I don't, I don't do interviews anymore at the show like a lot of guys do because it's a pain in the ass with the noise, okay, to denoise it when you get back to clean it all up. I just think it's an over and over and over thing that they have to do. And the reality is they're there, the brands are there to sell to retailers. Okay. From the media perspective, take some photos, get a quick update on what's going on. We all put out press releases. So guess what? We kind of know exactly what they're doing anyway, right? But it's nice to just, shake hands, say hi, and I schedule them for shows. I get them on shows from here to the end of the year to bring them in and talk about what's new, especially once I smoke something. I like to bring them on and talk about their new release if they get a review out of it.
Well, Jimmy, I think like obviously it's not financially feasible for every company out there, but some of these companies do a really good job with having a media liaison, right? Or a dedicated, point of contact in their booth. And I feel like for instance, the general situation, when I interrupted you and it just happened to be natural, it wasn't like I was messing with you or anything.
I
Um,
got it.
and I know we're friends, so it all came across, well, but you were with a regional sales rep in that moment,
I
right?
know I was.
Somebody who should be writing regional business, which is what I was there to do. Some of these organizations, that have the capacity to do so need to really have a media liaison. Drew Estate like a Pedro Gomez or Jonathan Drew or somebody that just
Big
is a
guys.
PhD. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But I guess not everybody can do that. And
correct. And I
sometimes
understand
they
that.
do. And I've seen companies have them, and then they moved on and they haven't filled the slot. I mean, it's there's a revolving door that goes on here. People move from
Sure.
company to company. They go sometimes they leave to go into other lifestyle companies, beverage and whatever, and then they come back. I've seen that happen too, but it's all good. Like I said, I don't expect as media to consume time at the booth. All right. If somebody
Now I
comes over
want
and
to I
says
want
hi
to
to me,
comment. Sorry to cut you off. Comment back on that though. I also don't expect the brand owner to be available for me as someone that's buying. I do expect my sales rep to be available.
yes.
Right. It's equally not fair for me to go and say, like, I went to West Tampa's booth a few times to see Ricky. Ricky was doing interviews. I felt no offense to that. I was able to sit with someone who could write my order, get my core business needs taken care of, and Ricky was able to do what he needed to do, which was build and market his brand. Um, those situations don't bother me. It does bother me when a sales rep, for me trying to conduct commerce, is taken up by something. You know, yeah,
So let's reel the
yeah.
film
Right.
back a
Yeah.
little bit.
What are you smoking?
So
We didn't get
I'm
to that.
I'm
Come on,
actually
bro.
smoking the Isle de Crocodilo from Warped. This came out
Okay.
late 2024. For those that don't know, Isle de Crocodilo is actually a name for the Isle of Cuba because Cuba looks like a crocodile according to them. So it's Isle of Crocodilo. Actually, this cigar is a rather pleasant cigar. I've had some interesting warped cigars over the years. The original ones were just slamming good. And then they had this one point in their journey where they would put out these pressers and say, hey, I got this and you can buy it online. And I got some of those and I wasn't impressed. And I was like, what's going on with Kyle? And then he just went into this whole, Gillis family thing. And I think he's reformed, and retransformed his company. This one right here, it's actually, I'm gonna, the name might be subjectively telling me this, but my palate's telling me it's a little Cuban-esque. Okay, it's got that nice flavor. It has just that right kind of, how the Cubans have that certain slight give in it, but not it's not super stiff and it's not super loose. So yeah, what are you smoking?
The new Four Kicks, 2025 limited edition.
There you go.
Yeah, something nice
Wonder
smoke
what he
cigars.
does when all the rest of the band members and Led Zeppelin pass away. Because you know what that's named after, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, you know that story. Um, but you got it late on what was it Friday. So you missed a couple of things, and I want to reel through this a little bit here and just keep bring you up to speed and everybody else. So on Friday, it's not show floor time. On Friday, it's meetings. They have their annual meeting. They actually they rolled out. I'll just share this here. So they rolled out the newest. This is the a premiere viewing of the new hand rolled, okay? And this time they featured Julio Arroyo, okay, the godfather of that family. And this film and all these films that they're doing in the hand rolled series, I think are so important. This one really kind of hit home when I watched it because it explained his whole journey of the typical journey of fleeing Cuba, but how he ended up in Honduras and were able to they took a jungle and they cleared a jungle and planted Cuban seeds in the soil to start these farms. All right. And they were doing things there that nobody thought could happen in Honduras. And he was able to grow that company and that whole family and all the greatness that came through it. And I think these films that they do, these hand roll films, they need to keep doing these documentaries because guys like me who kind of know a little bit more of that history, because we kind of grew up with it as we get into this world. The younger smokers, especially the new ones that are coming in right now. I mean, this is like, okay, that's an Arroyo cigar. That's this guy's cigar. That's that guy's cigar. But the history, we don't want to lose the history of this magnificent industry that we love so much and understand how it's evolved and where it came from and how the struggles that they went through that paved the way for people like you, me, and everybody else to do what we're doing now. Right. And these guys were able to do it and they did it against all odds. I mean, the guy crashed an airplane. Okay. It literally and was they had hospitalization and all this stuff, and he came through it all. The guy's a warrior in my book. So hand rolled, thumbs up. There was some glitches in it, but there was just a premiere of it. So they took some comments from people, and they're going to fix that. Um, the other the other surprise that happened. So as I'm there, I'm beginning to noticed that there were these Louisiana state troopers in the room, and I'm saying to myself, is like, does like Joshua Bursky need like all this security? Is this an issue? Are these guys there to protect, the convention center from people, smoking when they're not supposed? I mean, I don't know. I just see these guys in the hats and the nice crisp uniforms and stuff walking around, and it's not, I'm not putting two and two together. And then they introduced this gentleman, all right, which was the big surprise. This is the governor of Louisiana. All right. And he fires up a cigar on the stage and he literally looks out at the audience as he's doing that. And he says, it's kind of paraphrasing a little bit, but part of it won't be. He says, look, you're probably wondering about cigar smoking here in New Orleans and smoking laws and everything. He says, look, I like cigars. I smoked one last night. I have smoke in at my house. But I'll tell you this, he said, smoking cigars in New Orleans is like fresh air to us. which I thought was a magnificent quote because we go back to think about 2015. The aroma of New Orleans. Sometimes you got to have a nice, fresh smelling cigar to just it smells much better all of a sudden, right? So he did a really good talk. It was short, but he made it very clear to everybody. Don't worry about going around. New Orleans, we're much safer now than we were years ago. And you can smoke cigars out there. Don't worry about it. Enjoy your time here. We love you. We want you back. We want to keep bringing you back. So kudos to the governor for that. And then they had some more meetings that went on. They did the annual meeting and stuff, so I won't recap all of that. Um, so the other thing that you missed is every year, right? We have this opening party, right? And you've been to these opening parties, and you've been to some that have been like, what is this? Like, the one, we had ones where you just kind of stood around and, you know, you didn't get a lot of food and there wasn't much entertainment. So we can go through the decades and pick and choose uh, not even a handful that were like spectacular, right? This year fits in that category of great in my book. Okay. And one of the things that I'll just show you a couple of short video clips. So they had it in the park right across from the convention center. So instead of being inside, they took everybody outside and they set up all of these cooking stations where they had all this great, New Orleans cuisine that they were serving. Nice open bar. The only complaint I have is that they made that anybody who orders at an open bar with 1,000 people floating around a an old fashioned, recognize that there's a line of people wanting to get a drink. They just want a rum and coke, right? They want a beer, right? No, you got to have this handmade cocktail, which takes time to make. They should probably say set up a station for that or have pre-mixed ones. You know what I mean? Because it really backed up the line. Okay. And you just, you're online for too long, because you'll be walking around mingling more with people and stuff. Well, they had some great entertainment. So here, let me just show you this couple of clips here. Um,
The
so
power of batch cocktails.
yeah. So this is some of the entertainment. So they had these guys, this band here. Hopefully this isn't too loud when it comes through. Gotta love this. And then this is the crowd. So this is kind of how things are set up. They had three sponsors for this. They had Villiga, Dunbarton, and Espinosa. Okay, and then the liquor was sponsored. Obviously, they had Buffalo Trace, who's a big sponsor. They had two bar stations. So you say like two bartenders. You can see the line. The line goes way back on these. If you want a beer, they should just have like the beer in a bucket. Just grab one, right? Um, and then let me come over here. So this is just some more shots of people just enjoying. Uh, come over here. Just speed this up here. So this is somebody who's had these. They made these miniature po' boys, which was pretty cool. And then let's go in here. So they had these miniature po' boys. They had some gumbo. And that had some nice andouille sausage in it. That actually was pretty good. And then let's go here. So the river is right over there. So it's right off the river, this park, which was nice. It was a beautiful evening. Couldn't have asked for a better night to have this. I mean, they really lucked out with weather and everything, considering the storms they just had running through there the week before. And then through here, and then this is, oh, you know, this guy, Bob the cigar guy. And then they have they also had a band. So this is the line, right? This is this right here. So this is the line to meet and greet Guy Fieri at the Espinosa booth. So big line. He had a lot of people coming up, just, you know, slinging out the cigars, walking around, getting ready to, you know, get a signature from Guy on a hat, and there you go. He stood there the whole night smoking cigars and signing autographs. Kudos to him.
I'll tell you, Espinosa's done it right with the celebrity, you know, endorsement. I think Guy's really shown that he's behind the project. You know, a lot of these celebrity projects don't get that type of support.
Right. I agree, and it's plus the fact you got a guy who is, you know, Guy Fieri is not only does he smoke cigars for real, but he also is a chef. He kind of knows ingredients, he knows flavor, so you know he's hands on that blend. You know, that's not happening without his input of what it should be. And then I gave my 2024 award to Family by Loyalty. So, you don't know Alan and Family by Loyalty. Their Freaky Box Press cigar last year was just an incredible cigar. So I presented him this cool award. This is for the overall cigar of the year. I also gave 2 awards for the other small, large, and medium-sized brands. They all got plaques. So we did that. And then, so this is the band. So they had this cool band. This little jazzy band, you know. And then, so this right here. So by the way, I just had to put this one here because when I went and talked to Steve Soccer, I didn't, you know, I didn't do a formal interview because, like I said, I don't do that. But what I did is I basically was sitting talking to him, and he says he sat behind a desk this year because he in the past he would sit and have his legs up on a table, and he said every time I saw shots of me, everybody just they had my crotch in the shot. So while he was telling me that, I dropped my phone under the desk, and I said, "Oh, so let's just
beat the table." That's a great idea. Now your sales are gonna plummet.
So there you go. So there's the new Steve Docker interview right there. Something you didn't see that night. I went out afterwards that night, just walking down the street there, and I caught this band not too far from the hotel. They were randomly just walking these different marching bands were randomly walking through the streets. That's pretty cool, huh? That's, you know, classic New Orleans. And then then I ended up at a place called Chicky-Wawa's on when I went out with my buddy on Sunday night. I went out with a friend of mine who lives there, and he took me out to this place called Chicky-Wawa's. There's a whole story behind this. It's all about horns, all right? And the guy in the cap here that's playing the sax, he's one of his best friends from New Jersey, and this guy was a badass sax player. So So I have some more clips of that later. So that was kind of, what you missed. Um, what are some of the things that caught your eye, besides all the great food? Besides all the great food that we're able to enjoy.
Well, I mean, I missed the opening party, but we ended up going to Drago's, which was amazing.
Oysters, like, am I not exaggerating when I said they're like 3 inches?
I ate probably 2 dozen, 3 dozen oysters that
Oh
night.
my God,
Easy.
absolutely.
They were phenomenal. After a long car ride, it's definitely what you are looking for in New Orleans. A little homey oyster bar. It's nice. Um, I don't know. I mean, I missed the opening party Friday night. I really enjoyed though the small camaraderie groups that I saw just having a good old fashioned time. I saw that a little bit different than the PCA Circle Bar of Vegas. So
Yeah.
like we went out the back of our hotel and Johnson, KC, and the whole Tatawahi team hanging out there with a bunch of retailers. Turn around and go directly across the street of our hotel in that little park in front of the trade show. And again, a bunch of people posted up, starting their own party, bringing their boom boxes. It just fit into New Orleans. It just
Yeah,
fit
we
into
did,
that
right?
gritty style that New Orleans brings, and I loved it. Even when we ended up going to a different hotel the next night, and the EP Krillo team was hanging out on the patio. It just really small networking, and it was really nice. It was a lot different than the networking of Vegas, in
Hmm.
my opinion, which I enjoyed this year.
Yes, I agree. And I did, and I definitely enjoyed that, like you said, the convention center, all along the convention center, there were these metal tables and seats that were just strung all along. And I mean, it's not something they put there for us. Those things are there as part of New Orleans. And we would just sit around those tables, just, you pick up a random seat, there's other people, you just get to talking to them, if they want to have a conversation, and we just enjoyed ourselves, like you said, instead of the circle bar, right?
Yeah, it was less of the hustle and bustle. I mean, I just felt more relaxed after this trade show. I got to go and smoke
Hmm.
some good people, good conversation, and it didn't feel overwhelming. So it was nice. It's a good show. Good eats, good food. Even the food at the convention center. I mean, you know, they do a good job for
I
convention
don't
food.
eat. I don't eat when I do the floor. I am nonstop walking that floor. And any one of these, I never stop to eat. I never eat any lunch or anything. I just leave it to the after parties and going out to dinner with people, and that's it. I just forego lunch. I didn't even drink. I think I drank one bottle of water a day. I should have drank more, but that's why my knees probably kill me. So let's talk a little bit about business at the show, right? So business at the show, you have been to this show in various capacities. You have a unique thing, right? You've been to the show with Daniellos, okay? When I first met you, right? You get Daniellos, you were there, you were helping to pick out the selections, you knew the brands, you walked around, you had an agenda, what you had to do. Then you were there with Swinger Cigars in 2015 when you launched the line, and you were doing your thing, and you had the experience as a booth owner and a brand owner, and out there trying to work the other side of it, knowing what you were doing before that. Then you did it with, with you were there with Drew Estate and, this monster stuff. And, it's like, just on steroids, right? With a massive booth and people all over the place, and then you come in now as a distributor, all right, which has to be something unique in of itself because when you're there if you're there as a shop, just a mom and pop shop, you have an agenda, you know what you want to do, you have the people you meet, you know the accounts you already have, you're going to see those accounts most likely, and you're going to probably try to find maybe something new that could possibly be on the floor that maybe you never had or you always thought about. But from a distributor perspective, I would imagine you have to be focused not only on what it is you think is good, but what your accountants are ordering from you and what your accounts may be ordering from you or might want to order from you in the future. How did you navigate that? How did you work that for this first time on the show?
Well, I mean, I'm unique in the fact that I have two businesses now, with the wholesale and the retail. Um, so I'm buying from different reasons on each business. Um, it's different, man. It's definitely different navigating the show floor because for the retail side of it, you want to keep the enthusiast engaged,
Hmm.
the diehard cigar fans. So you want to make sure that you have the hottest product, the limited editions, what's new, what's fresh, what's the buzz. But from a distributor perspective, you need the tried and true. And so there's a really big balance between what you purchase from a distributor perspective and what you purchase from a retail perspective and what you're looking for. Um, Sometimes on the retail side, it's what's the coolest marketing item. On the wholesale side, it's what's the best deal you can get so you can, keep them stocked with what they need on a daily basis. So, um, yeah, I mean, you just approach it differently. I'll say that from what I saw outside in, I got to saw the deals that they offered us as wholesalers. Um,
You get different, hold on, do you get a different deal as a wholesaler because you're buying more? Or is
Not
it the same they
necessarily.
offer
Some
the
some
retail?
companies do. Some companies do have a wholesaler price list versus a retailer price list. Just based on the volume you have to hit
Mhm.
to get to that category, but it's not that much of an advantage. And what I'm noticing is there's a big shift in the balance that they've been able to give the wholesalers and the little retailers, the small mom and pop retailers, um, almost being able to buy competitively. There's some companies who don't make it as even, but a lot of them companies do a fair job um, allowing the small brick and mortar stores to acquire product at a reasonable price. I do believe that as the years have passed, there's need to be some changes in far as how companies sell their cigars. I think the days of 5-in-1s and 6-in-1s are dinosauric. I think those companies doing those type of promotions are at a disadvantage to themselves. Um, because the reality is a regular store can't take advantage of a 5-in-1, even at mix and match across 20 product offerings. They just don't have the capital to do that. I really believe that I would tend to believe that the company is offering a more you buy, better tier discount you get, just straight across the board, are the ones who probably netted the best results at the show. If you go and say, hey, spend 2 grand, you get 5%, you spend 5 grand, you get 7% or whatever, it scales up. Those type of deals and offerings, I think, are more universally respected
Mhm.
than the 5-in-1s because for the most mom and pops, the 5-in-1, 6-in-1, or whatever those
Mhm.
purchasing deals are, they're not really obtainable, aspirational, but not obtainable. And I think the guys that do the dollars in 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, those are deals that are almost, they're obtainable for a small store to spread 3 grand amongst 10, 15 companies. So I don't know. It's interesting to see how different companies, you know, give their offer sheets and their deal sheets. One of the things I really noticed this year was the lack of new offerings being readily available to try. I noticed a lot of companies had their new portfolio as coming soon, but not sticks on hand to sample. A lot of the samples that were offered during a lot of my meetings, at least, were product already in the market space, which was very interesting to me this year. Like for instance, Altadis, a lot of their samples that we smoked during our meetings were current releases, not the future, and it was interesting. Saw that in a few places.
Yeah, there's like, I know like Dunbarton, okay, Steve Saka, he he wait, are you talking? Sorry. Oh, never mind. I was looking at another phone. So I know that Steve Soccer, he had put out for his 10th anniversary, he had 10 releases, okay, that he put out of various things, including a 10 count box, a sampler box that were the cigars he likes to smoke out of his portfolio. So that was something unique, that he did.
But there was days, Jimmy, that was the gift given at the show.
Yeah,
That 10
like
count sampler, there was
Davidoff.
days.
Remember Davidoff did that.
Yeah, PDR back in the day made the book, where they
Mhm.
where they had all their offerings coming out. Drew Estate always used to do a good job with the IPCPR box. There was all the limiteds that they
Uh-huh.
offered. A lot of companies used to do that with their new releases mixed in with their current portfolio and give a 10 count to buyers. Those days are thin. You don't see that often no more. That trend has gone. Now, I would assume that's because of a lot of, lack of better terms, people out there trick or treating, taking advantage of the system. They
Mhm. Mhm.
didn't help it,
Sure.
which I don't condone. Most of the samples I don't take unless I only ask for the stuff I'm really interested in smoking or I'm going to buy. If I don't think I'm ever going to buy it, I usually turn down the offer.
Okay. All right,
That's
fair.
how I mean, that's for me, but I know a lot of people want to take the most samples they can and give it to their staff and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
for me,
sometimes
that's
they bring them home and they say, hey, you know what? There's some of the things we found there. Try some of these. Let me know what you think about them. Maybe you call back up and say, hey, you know what? The staff thinks these are good, so maybe we bring the line in. I mean, that's ideally what the samples are supposed to be for, I think, you know, to let people try them and find out whether they want to bring it in because they're not sure yet. Um, so now think about swag. Like you're a swag king, okay? You are just swag king. Learned a lot of it, when you were at Drew. You moved that on. You had your own company doing that for a while also. Some of the really cool swag. So here is one, okay, that I know you really liked, all right, at the show. So let me just pop this up. This is just I thought was killer too. So how does one get that? And that's not tiny. What's that, like 3 feet, 4 feet tall?
yeah, 4 or 5 feet.
Johnny Tobacconot from Matt Booth. What did you have to do to get that? Because they only had so many, right?
Yeah, I don't really remember what I had to do. I just know that I told my sales rep do whatever it takes. Um, that and the Matt Booth Room 101 humidor.
That thing
I think
was
those are really good projects that drew that Matt Booth, the Forge team, the what's the word? That drew me in to the new energy behind Room 101. And I think a lot of things are happening in that space. Hopefully, I can get Matt to come out and maybe do an event out here at the circus. But I like it. I like seeing it. I think it's not that it's not been done before, but it's things that are a little bit different that General hasn't always been, quick to do or forged,
let me let
STG.
me let me pop that humidor up. So
It's
there it is.
gorgeous.
So this has got the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, the 13th, the 14th, the 15th anniversary in this humidor. This is absolutely beautiful humidor. And what is this retail for? Did you get a number on this?
I think 2250.
2250? Okay.
They only made 101 of them.
Of course, only 101.
So those are things that like I want to be a part of. Those are moments in history that in cigar, history, it's not major history, but cigar history inside of our business that are pretty cool, and I want to be a part of them. I think I tried getting every limited humidor that was on the show floor. I want to bring those offerings back to my consumers. Those are things I want to be able to tell those stories to. and I'm going to move one. It's something I couldn't buy 10 humidors for, but it's one thing to bring in my shop and give a conversation starter, an icebreaker to that brand. And that's what I wanted to do, and I did that across the board. I think I got a humidor from Romeo and Julieta, the 150th anniversary of Romeo and Julieta, beautiful humidor. The 130th anniversary of JC Newman humidor, and we'll run promos with it and different things to our consumers, but it's a conversation starter. It allows the consumer to engage with that brand when it's sitting in your store. And I think every company who launched one this year did a really good job. I mean, they did a really good job on humidors this year from a
So
branding.
did you pick up the $25 million egg at
There's
El
some things
Septimo?
that I have to humble myself that I can't afford. So I think I leave that to Jeff Borshowitz. I think he can go and pick one of those up
You think
whenever.
Jeff bought one of those?
I don't know if he did, but he's the type of retailer that could probably move it. I think he has an El Septimo lounge and does a lot of support with those guys. And there's people out there that have the money. They've been very successful in their life. And I saw a little video he made that might not be for everyone, but there's people out there spending hundreds of millions of dollars on yachts, and that's a furniture
Yeah.
piece for them. It's out there, and it does exist. There's a segment of the population that drinks high end scotches and bourbons on the regular that the average person can't afford, and kudos to them to make something for that market space. I don't I can't afford it, but doesn't mean I don't understand it, and recognize that for the consumer that can. There's a market for it. Obviously, that's why they made it.
Did you pick up this humidor?
I did not. I did not get to see Francisco at the show. I missed a
Oh,
few booths.
yeah, it's sad. Yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard to get to everybody, you know. You get home and you're like going, you start hearing people talk about something and you're like, I didn't get there, man. Ah, you missed something good, you know, and like, whatever. Um,
I'll
now the
tell you,
other thing, yeah,
it wasn't a humidor, but I'll tell you from a marketing perspective, from a packaging perspective, it's not necessarily a humidor. And maybe it is. I didn't really interact and ask the question if it's a humidor, but the Espinosa Warhead tin that they
that's
made for the new Warhead 11
yeah.
was fire. I mean, it was pretty cool. I think they did two more. Don't quote me. The re-up they're called. One Warhead
Yep,
6.
yep.
I think were the
Yes,
two
they
names
did
they
it
did.
too. Yep, they re-brought him back.
The price point on those products, affordable, cool packaging, not $45 a cigar inside or $100 cigar. I think the cigars retail for like 15, $16. They come in a cool packaging, cool display. It stays on brand. Staying on brand is half the battle. And I think they hit it out of the park with that project. I mean, I just think they really did a great job with that, uh, the new Warhead.
Now, did you get time with Blackwork Studio at all?
I did not.
Okay, so this is what they were featuring there. I don't know if you saw the press release on this one, but this is actually what they were showing. This was pretty cool. All right, 2015 to 25.
That's pretty cool.
That was yeah, that was impressive. It's a nice selection of all their blends. Okay, that they have over the last 10 years. Another company was celebrating 10 years in the business. So that was pretty cool. Um there was a did you stop in the LFD booth?
I did not.
Gotta find a picture of this one. I was trying to find it. I have it in my files. I'm trying to go through the file now and find it again. But um his son is now working in the company and he helped redesign the booth. And there's a display case in the booth that has every single cigar that LFD released kind of in order through it, and then all the special Vitolas and then the limited editions. All right, all laid out in this beautiful presentation. You just look at it, and there's everything that LFD has made over the years. So I said that was I thought that was a pretty cool presentation. I'll find that. I'll have to show it to you.
Well, I know
Um,
me and you were talking about, like, what makes you go to a booth, or what do you buy and how do
yeah,
you
that was
buy it?
my next thing. I what attracts you? What makes you go there other than you have an agenda?
I used to chase different brands. I used to think that, I had to have this brand in my shop, or this brand would make or break a consumer sale. And there was years that I would walk around the show floor trying to, keep up with the Joneses, lack of better terms.
Hmm.
And even now, I mean, my humidor here is 2,800, almost 3,000 square foot walk-in humidor, and I still can't fit everyone. And so when I sat down and started thinking to myself, what do I try to put in my humidor, and what do I try to avoid putting in my humidor from the retail side? And I wanted cigars in my humidor that I could always obtain, stuff that isn't on back order. I like to work with people who own their own factory, which Lido does, don't get me wrong,
Oh, yeah.
but a lot of their portfolio sometimes is not available. And what I don't like doing is training my consumers to enjoy a product that they can't come back and purchase. And I look at that filter for majority of my companies. Now, if they have a limited edition that's once time seasonal, I have a room for that. But I want to deal with the companies who have a core, consistent brand, consistent packaging, everyday sale, and then piggy up their limited editions.
Hmm.
Um, LFD could come out with a limited edition, but because I can't really support their core line every day, I'm not even interested in their limited edition, as cool as it might be. So I really lean into the partnerships where I can carry your whole portfolio. I'm going to invest in your company, give you all my shelf space, and you know, give access to your whole portfolio in some form or fashion to be presented in my humidor. Those are the companies I really try to focus my time on. And someone like LFD, I just don't even give them the time anymore because there's so much uncertainty in their product availability.
Yeah. So this is yeah, and they I think I think he's recognized that. I do believe, I mean, when you get cigar of the year, sometimes it could be a death death spike to your company, and it caused you to increase production with maybe less experienced rollers. And I think he ran into that problem personally, and people were complaining about it. So and not being able to fulfill the orders, like you said, suddenly I can't get there because everybody wants them. Um, this is
And by the
actually,
way,
I'll
that
show
doesn't
you this.
mean that they don't make good cigars. Some of these companies make phenomenal cigars.
So, so this is, look at this presentation. All right. So both sides of this are the same. So I'll just zoom in on one of them. So here you go. This is all their stuff that they had.
It's pretty cool.
That's a pretty cool display. If you want to know what has put out over the years, there it is. This is everything they've got. Right. So different brands kind of up their game in certain ways with presentation. I saw some brands that have completely redesigned their packaging of things we know so well, but they changed the look and the feel of it, new colors, and trying to get more modern on the colors and attracting people. Where is your view on that as far as shelf visibility? And did anything attract you in the show that says this would be great? I like this cigar, but this would be even better on the shelf now because it draws my attention.
I think Crown Heads hit it out the park this year.
Hmm.
Their rebranding and repackaging was needed. It was
Yeah, it
needed.
goes a little stodgy in the past, right?
Yeah, and I think that they did a really good job in the cohesiveness between the new brands, and I foresee them doing that to the rest of the portfolio. So I look forward to that. There's other brands that I think A lot of people like it. I think for me personally, it missed the mark. Illusion a few years ago, I think, did a repackaging that didn't really, it wasn't my liking, but it's just my one man's opinion. Um, I think Crown Heads really killed it this year on the repackaging. They did a really good job. Um, Everybody else has been pretty consistent. I mean, the rebranding, if you got anything you want to mention, but everything's been pretty consistent
Yeah,
in the industry.
Warp kind of did a little repackaging of theirs. Bright colors I saw in their booth attracted me to their booth with all the bright colors that they had. Um, what was your view? I know you also like to bring in accessories. See any cool new accessories, or is it same old, same old?
I didn't really look at too many accessories this year. I signed a deal with Calibri. I pretty much just sell Calibri. It's kind of my partnership here at the store. I think the years of having 50 accessory companies in a retail store are fading. So me personally, I just picked one brand. It wasn't that I was keen on that brand over the other. It was just I needed one that had a $5 cutter and lighter and that had $100 cutter and lighter. And Calibri had a portfolio that could cover all that. I think what Manny with Opus X Society is doing is awesome for that market space. Um, for the average price point, Vissel. I mean, I don't know if they sell Vissel or Vissel. Their stuff is on point. Their private label program is amazing. I picked up some Zycar. They're kind of the go-to for humidors. I picked them retailer humidors up for distribution from Zycar. Stinky ashtrays. They're pretty consistent.
Yeah,
Um,
they were smart to buy that company because heck, what shop doesn't want a sneaky ashtrays or two or three or four or five or six of them in it?
yeah, so I mean, nothing really crazy innovative out there. Ricky Rodriguez had the watch cutter. Thought that was different. You know,
I
he had
didn't
a
see
little
the
watch.
watch gun.
Yeah, it comes in his new cigar. That was pretty cool. Um, but I mean, at the days of now of cutters and lighters, I mean, I'm a Bic guy. I just use a Bic. Like I just need something to give me flame. So those days I used to chase the DuPonts and
Sound like you sound like Skip Martin, man.
the
Even at the show, Skip was using a Bic to light all his cigars. Everybody else got torches. He's got his Bics with him all the time. He goes, "Look, you can travel with them on a plane. You can get these in Nicaragua. You can't get torches. You can't get fuel. You live with yeah. There you go, Bucky's ladder. There you go. Works like a charm, right?
every time lights. I've never seen a Bic run out of fluid.
Well, they are surprising that when you think they should be out, they're not out. When you're working with a torch, it's like you light five cigars, it's like, okay, now I need to refill it again. You get a Bic, it's like I pick Bics up in my drawer. It's like they've been in there for 5 years. I'm like, oh, I'm looking for a lighter to take with me. Like, oh, this one still works. I'll put this in my bag.
Yeah, Bics always get stolen before they run out of gas. That's always the trick. Somebody always borrows your lighter and walks away with it, and you're not upset when you lose $2. So
Yeah, right. Now, did you have any opportunity to see Cigar Medics booth, the guys with the humidimeter and the bowler cutter and all of that?
I did not. Now I do love his baller cutter. I think it's pretty cool. The melon baller cut. I think it's a pretty cool concept. The only thing I don't like about that cutter is it doesn't stay closed. It doesn't
Yeah, I
lock.
think he's doing something about that. He said, yeah,
But
he
it's a
got
cool.
a lot of feedback about that. Um, but he also released this year so he took the cutter he made for Saka, the Saka design with him, and he got the agreement from Saka to make a less expensive one. So I guess he actually is getting I think he's getting those made in China. Now they may not be so less expensive. Who knows what happens? But so he's
Well, I
featuring
mean,
that.
speaking of that, that was the talk of the show.
It was definitely a talk of the show of especially around accessories and swag. You know,
I
how
mean,
can you give away how can you give
boxes.
away hats? I can give away hats when they're going to be like twice as much money.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what companies do with their strategy. I mean, a lot of packaging comes out of China. These
Mhm.
humidors, the future we'll see what holds. I think there's a lot of opportunity for the box factories, some really good box factories in Nicaragua, the Dominican Republic, that have the capability of making humidors. Um, it'll be interesting to see the craftsmanship that comes out of these other countries in the midst of these tariffs. I think every day of the trade show the tariffs changed. I think there was a tariff
Yeah.
change
Yes.
every day of the show. So the conversation on Friday was different on Sunday,
That's
and
right.
that's the world we're in today.
It's
I
going to be
do
different
believe
tomorrow. I mean, Monday when the market's open, it's going to be a new. You watch. China's going to come to the table now. You're going to see all this stuff change back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Yeah.
I do think the companies handled it well. I mean, for the most part, I didn't really see any company that took a tariff hike yet. So I do respect that the companies went into the trade show and said, "Hey, we're going to stick with the prices we were going to print yesterday." And I think that's honorable. I'm sure eventually somebody's going to lose some margin somewhere, but um, I think the consensus was status quo until we know more.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that part of it. Is there going to be some battles? Is there going to be some swag and some promotions that are going to, get stuck up in this situation? Of course, there's going to be casualties. In any situation, there's going to be casualties. But I think we're in a good spot. I mean, at the end of the day, the consumers want cigars. They want good cigars they can smoke. And I believe Dominican Republic and Nicaragua both settled at 10% tariffs, which at the end of the day aren't going to really break the bank. A $14 cigar might be what, 15? I don't know the exact math. But in the days that they're
15,
releasing,
15, 16, yeah.
okay, but does that really change the needle in the days that we're launching $30 cigars from every single manufacturer? I mean, every manufacturer is $27. So is the $15 cigar going to 16 really going to change the consumers, buying
Well,
habits?
it's not about, I don't believe it's about the tariff on cigars though, Ryan.
It's
I
the
agree
rest of
with
the
you.
society.
It's
It's the
about the
rest of
tariff, it's about the tariffs on everything else. And
sure.
if you're in the sweet spot market of cigars, which is $13 to $15, and they're ratcheting up to $16 to $17, your pocket's getting hurt elsewhere. So you have a little less money in your discretionary funds, okay, to purchase. So now the question is, you're looking at the $12 cigars, right? Suddenly you're finding companies, take company like Romacraft, for instance, okay? Romacraft has extreme sweet spot on their pricing of cigars. They're very affordable cigars. And even if those cigars happen to go up to $11, okay, suddenly the person who's buying the $12 cigar that went to 15 is going, this one's like, $10. I'll try it, and maybe you win over customers, but it's time is only going to tell on that. We don't know where this is going. It's very volatile right now, so time will tell.
I think you're going to see a lot of people revisit some affordable brands. I think there's a lot of good cigars out there that are, $10 or sub
Yes,
10 that, I
yes.
mean, AJ Fernandez has been killing it with the New World forever. I mean, Rocky Patel's been killing it with the Edge forever. These
Hmm.
are cigars that are affordable, good, everyday smokes. And you'll see the guy that was smoking a $14, Crown Heads yesterday, smoking a $9 Rocky tomorrow, and once in a while still stepping up to what he likes. I don't think it's going to fade. I think we're in a good spot as a industry. While we see numbers fighting to hold on post COVID, we still see imports at its all-time high. So cigars
Yeah,
are being consumed somewhere.
yeah, they are. Absolutely. Now, did you talking about humidors? Going back to humidors, I just realized as I was going through my photos. Did you stop at the Blanco booth, David Blanco's booth?
I did stop by and see his humidor exhibit.
Yeah. So let me
He's
pop that
bringing
up
in
for a second.
Cuban handcrafted humidors.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, so David Blanco forged a relationship with a company in Cuba. All right. Now he's the only one that's able to get an exported product out of Cuba into the United States legally. All right. He's got this, somehow he managed to do this. So this is what they look like. Every one of these is handcrafted. Most of these are all very unique. Okay. And when they're done, they're done. Like like this one here with the American flag on it. I said, so, you just make more of these. So you got to understand something. This is individually pieced together. Okay. It's not a cut out thing. All of these pieces are all pieced together and glued and cut. And I mean, and then that's it. It's hard to recreate it. He has one here this one here, right? This is actually a pretty nice humidor. It's got this cedar inlay, okay, of the tobacco field and everything. These are beautiful humidors. All right. And they're all made from recycled cedar. And I think you lost your video there. I'm not sure if it's you or me. Um, they're all made from recycled cedar in Cuba. So, you know, they're different colors. You're not going to get always the same exact wood, and so each one's very unique. So he's on to something here, and I wish him well that maybe these things will sell. Just and he's in your backyard, and I know you know him. So whether you were thinking about bringing any of those into your place to possibly help him out.
For me, I can tell you this. In my showroom now, I have no humidors for sale. I've never looked at humidors as a big reason. Like, I don't want to give up real estate to humidors today, because I don't think the volume turn is there. I also don't think the average consumer is putting humidors in their home anymore. The days of people having a nice humidor in their house are thin. I think nowadays people have the travel humidors, the Tupperware containers, the massive Boveda bags that they take back and forth to their shop and refill. The days of a nice furniture piece humidor, unfortunately, is thin. Even in the executive space, most executives have, work from home. They're not making a nice desk in their corner office like they used to. And I just think that those are far and few between to stock. Now, what I do personally for my store, if somebody comes in looking for a humidor, I just hand them a catalog and tell them I'll order them one. I don't make money on it. I look
Right.
at it from hopefully they buy their cigars from me to fill it up.
That's all you want.
Yeah.
So overall, scale of 1 to 5, what do you think of the show?
I think it was good. I think overall it was good. A lot of walking, but it was definitely a good show. Um, I think for the average person going, um, the deals were fair. I mean, we could everything was accessible. The booths were flowing. It wasn't didn't feel like a dead year like New Orleans did of the past.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like there was definitely a new vibe to the show. Um, I think I don't know what we could do better. I mean, I could probably give you a lot of criticism, but I think overall the show was good. The registration process was good.
Oh, the
Um,
registration process was flawless.
smooth.
Came
I think
in, put your name in, got your badge, and off you went.
the old PCA Almanac. Can we bring the IPCPR Almanac back? The big book with all the brands and the contacts. That was always
They
a
have that. It's online.
yeah. No, I want the physical copy. I want the old yellow pages. I've
Oh, you want
collected
the
those.
yellow pages. Okay.
The little
Good for you.
half folder yellow page pocketbook.
And then we welcome Lou Cross. Lou Cross, I don't know if you know Lou. Lou is the
Hey
owner of
Lou.
Lou
Hey,
Cigars.
Ryan. Jimmy, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Good to see you guys again.
Yeah. Were you
As
at the
well.
show? Did I miss you or were you? Okay. Did you have a booth?
I did. I was right between Warped and Aganorsa,
I
so I
walked
missed you.
past you
Ryan,
3 times. How did I walk
Ri-
past you?
I don't know. Ryan came by. I got to see him, meet him in person, which was nice.
Yeah, he's got
But
a
it was,
nice line of cigars. I love his story. I love his whole marketing aspect all around fishing and everything. So I thought that was pretty cool. He's got some cool swag.
No, I think he's done a really, really good job. Actually, I stopped by Lou to tell him he's one of my favorite new brands, and I mean I say that publicly. I think from a small boutique, I think he's doing it right. I think the packaging is just crisp. It's minimal, It definitely delivers on his concept. I haven't smoked many of the cigars yet, but I will be doing so very soon. I'm pretty sure Lou and me will be getting together pretty soon on that. But I definitely think he's definitely taking a marketing approach to a niche market, which I've done in the past with Swinger, and I know what that looks like with the golf world. And he's doing it with the fishing world, and I think he's going to see a lot of success in it. I do believe his product has legs. I even love the booth for being a smaller booth. I think he did a very good job of maximizing the marketable opportunity as far as having the oversized fishing poles and the lures and just making it really themed. And I remember in 2015 when I was in New Orleans, I mean, I had turf and a golf cart. So I think for the amount of space he was given and able to work with, I think he did a really good job. And the few times that I went to sit and talk with Lou, he was busy, which
I was going to ask,
kudos to him.
you were
Yeah, he's
busy? Because everybody I talked to said they were busy. Were they writing orders? Were you open up new account? Can you disclose how many accounts you opened?
Sure. We had 15 new accounts. I wanted to talk to Ryan. Ryan came by. We had a great initial chat. He was kind of the first day kind of in passing and came back. And when he came back, I just had a flood of people that were up there. We had a lot of brand exposure. So my apologies, Ryan, for not being able to get up with you. This was our first show and first time I'd ever been to PCA. I never had any other experience. And so first time, obviously, as a manufacturer as well. But getting out there, putting the brand out there and getting people to try the cigars, it was just a wonderful experience. And I will say that we've already made a commitment to go back next year. We're going to get a little bit more real estate so we can stretch out a little bit, make it more of a lounge environment. We were kind of treating it almost like a flea market at the rail. We're sitting there making deals over a table and we had our display cases, but we were intimidated because we thought we had to have everything be able to be very portable to come in because we didn't want to, expend extra money on labor to set up the booth and stuff. But we're going to do it a little bit different next year. But this year, it was just really wonderful to be part of the community of manufacturers and meet a lot of new retailers. But I will say that I felt very welcomed by other manufacturers. People came up and were very complimentary about the brand. That people that had smoked the cigars, they really enjoyed smoking the cigars, and it kind of validated and gave us motivation that this is the right thing and that we're doing the right thing and that we're going to continue. So it was a great boost to our motivation, and just we're humbled by the positive response. And people, had seen us on social media, the word of mouth, and that was exciting.
Fantastic. And again, I apologize. I don't believe how I missed you because I probably walked past there at least 2 times, if not 3 times. But as I was saying at the beginning of the show, I had to cut my week short, which put me on this crazy path of running and zigzagging back and forth on the last day on the Sunday to try to get to people that I knew and had on my
Sure.
show. And I miss people and I felt so bad, but I have a dog he's inside right now whining and barking because of his leg. It's
Oh,
just sometimes
goodness. That's more
it,
important. That's
you
more
know,
important.
wife wasn't well and I was getting an earful from that, which putting a damper on everything. I was like, I just got to get focused. And I just bounced
Sure.
around and and I got through it, but next year's another year and we'll
Yeah,
see on the trail somewhere, I'm sure. And
absolutely. Absolutely. We may run into each other down at Ryan's shop. I know that you get down there every now and then. Go down to Cigar Circus and check it out.
yeah, I
I
get
want to
over
go
there.
down there.
Were you able to open anything on the East Coast over here? Did you? ha-
So there's a couple new shops. I've got to get the list together. I'm still recovering just from the week of getting back and reorganizing and everything else. But we had some shops in New England that opened up. We had a couple out in California, a couple in Texas. There were a couple Florida shops. We've been working on Cigar Castle in Tampa area, and
Okay.
they finally are going to bring us in. So Atul and Rick over there, they're real excited about bringing the brand in. So there's another one down in South Florida. I have to remember what it is. Apologize but we're going through and putting the orders together and getting everything squared away next week. So
What was
it's
your
exciting.
What was your knowing your line? And I still got some more to put out on the reviews. what would you say was the most attractive and brand that people were gravitating to?
Well, we had three kind of samples that we were giving out. The upcoming new Vitola in the Corojo Oscuro, which you smoked the Big Lou and you like the Big Lou, but I will tell you that the Fat Tony, which is the 5x54 that's coming out in May, that cigar is by far, I think, the best expression in the Corojo. It's got the girth to be able to give you a little bit more oomph to it, and then it's got the length that is much more comfortable in the hand for some people that want a shorter smoke. So that 5x54 expression was very popular. That's called the Fat Tony. And then we have the Oscuro, which is the new line. I don't know if you've had the Oscuro, which is our orange band, and that is a double Maduro, and that has been absolutely one of the best releases we've had. People are just excited about that. For people that like a more full-bodied smoke, that is something where it hits right off the beginning. And so the Little Joe and the Big Joe, that's a Robusto and a Toro. We gave out some of the Little Joes that were there, and people kept coming back and saying, "Hey, can I get another one of those?" So that was popular. And then the last one is the fish sticks. So that's a 4x46 box press, like a frozen fish stick. That fish sticks is coming back out, and that I just got confirmation today that is going to be in before June. So we'll have that, as the cigars come out. That's a fun smoke. So we gave out some of our fish stick blends in a slightly different Vitola just to be able to have it where people can enjoy it, and people were excited about that too.
How are you packaging the fish sticks?
So fish sticks, I wish I had one out here. I'm not prepared, but it comes in a 5 pack Ziploc style bag that's printed on both sides. And so it's got, the fish sticks branding. It's got a Boveda pack inside, and then you can reseal it. So the cigar MSRP is $8. So you get 5 cigars for $40. It's a grab and go type of situation. Retailers can put it up next to the register. They can put it outside of the humidor if they want to. It's a great introduction to the brand, a great price point. People pick it up and smoke it. It's a good 30 to 45-minute smoke if you're smoking fast. But it's our Habano 2000 blend that we use in the Mean Gene. So if people like the fish sticks, it's an introduction to come back. And so the Mean Gene is our most popular Habano box press. And I just took that blend and made it in a smaller format. I originally made the size for myself so I could smoke something. I like that blend a lot. I would, run to the bank or go fishing between casts and things like that. So that is something where we put them out last year as kind of a short run. And then all of a sudden it was so popular that we decided to make it a commitment, and we'll bring it out, make it regular production.
Sounds like your old putt there, Ryan. I saw you smiling when we was talking about
I
it.
love every bit of it. I think it's amazing. I think it's fun. I think it's unique. I do think a lot of guys are going to, as more people hear about it, I think the brand has legs, and it's a pretty cool concept. I don't know, Drew Estate and these guys just have the wafe. You remember the wafe? Maybe a fillet of fish. Maybe we gotta get a big fillet of fish cigar.
Yeah,
there's no wrapper on it or something with no guts.
Right.
Just the guts.
Just the guts. No wrapper. Just binder filler. But I appreciate the kind words from you both. You guys have been, offering, feedback, and I really appreciate it. Jimmy, your reviews and taking the time to smoke it, and Ryan, your kind words, I do appreciate it. It's just been humbling to go from consumer for 30 years and to actually try this and go out there and try to put your name out there, and then to have the support and the feedback has been great.
Did you get a chance, Lou, to walk the floor yourself at all, or you just locked?
So I will tell you, I mean, I was never in Vegas, so I can't comment on the geography of things, but I can tell you we were so busy that from the media and from other retailers and other manufacturers coming over and stuff, we just didn't get a lot of time towards that. And then they kind of kick you out at 6 o'clock. There wasn't a lot of time. So you had to mingle in the evenings, right? So you had to go out in the evenings. I was so wiped out just getting into the show. The week before the show, I slept very little, prepping everything and getting everything ready and making sure we had it, checklist and that kind of thing. But I did go over on Monday morning and I saw some other friends of mine. So I went over to Stoic Cigars, and he mentioned that he was over on the other side of the trade show. Well, we had not taken the time to walk it. And I will tell you, I had to walk from the 2000 series. I was over in 1947, right? So I was in the 2000 row, and he was way down by the food court. And it took me a good 15 minutes to walk. And I was not, sloughing. I was walking at a brisk pace. When I approached Drew Estate's booth, they had this rock music going on and everything else happening. And we were so far away that when they were playing the music, you could not hear it in our booth. So it tells you how big the scale was. And so I did go over to see Vance at Stoic. I've known Vance for many many years and never met him in person, so I got the chance to do that. And I'm a Tatuaje fan, so I got to meet Pete Johnson for the first time, and I went over to his booth and we traded cigars, and it was nice to make that connection. And we've herfed online and had different things and podcasts and things where we've been on the same time. So that was kind of a nice opportunity to meet some things. I met Kyle from Warped, smoked his cigars. My favorite cigar is still the Skyflower, and got to meet him in person. And so it was nice. And what was really great was when I approached these other manufacturers, some of them knew me by name just from being a consumer of their cigars, and some of them said, hey, I'd heard about your cigars, I'm real excited to try them. So it was just a nice welcoming feeling. It was just, we're all competing for the same business from a business perspective, but it was a very friendly show to be able to say, hey, how you doing and everything. So that it was good. HDA had the guys from Hermanos de Armas, got to meet my rep, John Aldi. So it was just one of those things that you felt like it was a family kind of event, even though it was at such a large scale. Like Ryan, you mentioned about all those kind of casual conversations that were happening outside of the show. That was a real rewarding thing to be part of that. And we'll, hopefully we'll do some more of that as the next year comes along.
Yeah, and what's cool is we have it back to back. But last time we did it was one time, and then it was back to Vegas. And they could have probably made some changes to things that we were upset about and made it again. But
Mm-hmm.
now you have the layout, the layout, you know what you're in for when you go back. You know
Yep.
the cool places to hang out, right?
Yep.
Right there
Yep.
near the convention center. People hanging out in the hallways of hotels, on back patios of hotels.
Sure.
They had shops. I didn't get out to any of the shops personally, but they did have that. But
Yep.
I still love that whole run right along the convention center. We just go out of any one of the hotels along Convention Center Boulevard. You just walk across the street, sat down at a table with some people and just smoke cigars, and people would walk
Yep.
by and they'd sit down and you'd introduce yourself, and
Yep.
you would just have a herf. It was
Yep.
like they were like organic herfs happening
Yep.
all along the way, which was very nice. And I like how Ryan described it. It was completely different than when you're in Vegas. You would hang at the host hotel, and there's a bar, and everybody would hang at the bar, and it's just this incredible crowd of people with slot machines all around you, and a lot of distraction. Where it was not, there was no distraction. It was, let's hang out across the street and smoke a cigar. Let's go hang out in the hallway. Let's go in the back patio over here and check it out. So
Yep.
I thought that was very cool.
Outstanding. Yep.
Looking forward to it again. So any other thoughts before we close out the show? Ryan?
No, man, I got a shop full of people I really need to
Yeah, I know
attend
you
to.
got to run.
I'm
I
gonna
appreciate
jump. Jimmy, listen, it was a pleasure to do this with you. I wish I had a lot more time. Lou, me and you got to link up soon. I'm definitely gonna
Yes, sir.
carry the cigars here at the circus. I love what you're doing, and I think for Clearwater, it's gonna be a hit for a lot of guys going fishing and chartering over here. So I look forward to linking up with you soon, Jimmy. I'll talk to you soon. Enjoy the new Corvette. But let me go handle a bunch of people in the
Yeah,
shop.
Great to see you. Great to see you, Ryan. Look forward to speaking with you soon.
thanks, Ryan. Yeah, I'm definitely enjoying my new vet.
I saw a picture today on socials that I saw a beautiful car.
Yeah,
So
it's a
in the
C6,
weather. Oh yeah.
C6, 2012 C6, Grand Sport,
Mm,
42,000 miles, very low mileage. Okay.
absolutely.
I mean, it was only two owners. The primary owner was from Ohio. The secondary owner was here in Florida. And he didn't have it long, and they told me he traded it in for a C8. All right. So they were ready to move that car fast.
Sure.
So
That's
I picked,
great.
I mean, the paint on that is just, it's showroom condition, this car. It's as if you walked into the showroom in 2012 buying that car.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
Brand new tires on it, which was an important point for me because I told them, I said, I really checked the tires out because they're not cheap, you know.
Nope.
And you
Nope.
can't buy
No, they're not.
four of the same tire because the back tires are wider than the front tires, and you can't rotate them. So when they
Nope.
start to wear, you got to kind of change them in pair, a minimum of a pair, and they're like
Mhm.
$500 a piece
Oh
for
yeah.
tire. So
Yeah, but it's a beautiful ride, and the weather's just turning nice enough, you know. So, are
oh,
you going to smoke a cigar in there? Or are you going to not smoke cigar?
well, it's got the top that comes right off. Not a
Yeah,
T. It's that the tur what is it? What do they call that top? I forget the name of it. The Touring top or whatever it is.
yeah, yep.
The whole roof pops off and goes into the hatch in the bottom. There's a place you put it. It locks in. So I just put that in there. I took my dog who's like going through his thing, but
Yeah, yeah.
he was on his meds. I got him his meds this morning, and I strapped him into the seat, and I put the top off, the windows down, and I just drove it all along the beach this morning. Picked up a cup of coffee, and I always wanted a vet, right? And as soon as you get a vet, you suddenly are, it's like joining the cigar community, right? You immediately are on like the C6 Facebook page,
Sure.
right? People giving you all the tips and the tricks about that particular series of card. There's things about it that they don't tell you about in the user's manual that you hit. Like if you hit the button for it to go for the stability thing that every car has, if you hit it 3 times, it puts it into competitive mode.
Ooh.
Right. And you put, it's an automatic, but man, I was going down this road and I just, you gotta punch it once in a while.
Yeah, sure.
You're doing 30 miles an hour and you punch it you're blinking your eye, you're at 90 miles an hour and you haven't hardly moved, right?
Wow.
The wheels will
Wow.
chirp, as it
Sure.
goes, the automatic just you hear the wheels go, it's like,
Wow.
you know.
That's
So
exciting. That's exciting.
it's supposed to go 0 to 60 in 4 seconds, and it goes a 12-second quarter mile, and
Holy cow.
top speed they say is 190.
You know,
Uh,
I'm going to say I've been over 100 miles an hour a couple times,
I
and
have,
that
yeah,
is just absolutely terrifying.
exhilarating.
It's
It's
exhilarating, but
exhilarating, terrifying.
yeah, that's a better word. But I'm going to say terrifying for me because I
Yep.
wasn't behind the wheel. And being a passenger in something like that, and you realize just how fast some of those cars go, and it makes you respect race car drivers, right? You go, how hard can it be to be a race car driver? Well, you're driving near 200 miles an hour. I don't care who you are or what direction you're going. The slightest flinch or a rock or a pebble or anything else can just upset your apple cart. And to feel a vehicle in the raw power, it's just
Oh,
exhilarating, like you said.
and the thing is that vehicle also I learned is I always wanted a 63, but that kept completely out of my price range now. So this car, I always liked that model,
Yeah.
C6, and I realized how, I mean, they had all their problems in the beginning, and this one they came out with the Grand Sport in like 2010, I think. All right, and it's got the LS3 engine in it, 420 horsepower,
Wow.
and the body is the Z06 body. So it's got the
Okay.
big wheel wells and they push up. So it's got that nice bump in the hood that you don't
Yeah.
have normal C6,
Yeah.
right? I'm just like, I told my wife, I said, anytime you want me to go to the grocery store, just let me know.
I'll be happy to drive. Be happy to
I'm
drive
just, how many errands you want me to run tomorrow? I'll
all
be back
day.
in 5 hours.
Yes. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, congratulations to you. That's wonderful.
So it's
That's wonderful.
a lot of fun, and I'm gonna have a lot of fun with it. And I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
worried about putting mileage on it right now. I'm just gonna enjoy the crap out of it.
Yeah. That's what it's there for.
Yeah, just
Absolutely.
I'd love to
Use
just
it.
drive it right down to Key West and visit my buddies down there, and
Oh,
just
that would be great. Go down and see guys at Rodriguez, go down
go
there and,
down Rodriguez and just shoot on down the
we'll
overseas
do it before
highway.
it gets too hot. Yeah, do it before it gets too hot, right? So
But but when you and then it's the other weird thing. It's just like cigars, right? You see somebody smoking a cigar, you go over, you say hi to them. You're driving on a vet, you're driving down the road. I had a couple of vets come up next to me, right? And they roll the window down. They go, "Hey man, beautiful car. Yeah, you too, boom." And you're driving and you're talking to the guy in the other car
that's
as
great.
you're driving
Yep.
down the road.
Oh,
It's
that's
like,
great.
that doesn't happen in my Hyundai Santa Fe.
No, it does not. I would say
Yeah.
that Corvettes and supercars and other things, but Jeeps, yeah, they have a loyal following of
Mhm.
people that drive Jeeps. They have a whole culture of Jeep folks. I don't know what they call them, but they trading rubber duckies and all this stuff. I mean, we don't understand that on the outside, but I guess once you get into it, you start to realize that there's a whole culture, and so you're going to get that now that you're a Corvette owner. That you'll go places and you'll meet people that
I'll
you
be
never
going
thought
to
you meet before.
shows. I'm
Sure.
definitely going to be going to the meetups here in Florida.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
I'll transform it with vet and cigars.
absolutely.
I'll find the cigar smoking vet
Hey,
guys, and I'll start building
that
a following right
there
out of
you
that
go.
whole connection.
Absolutely. It's like tackling tobacco. You got to find the guys that like fishing and find the guys that like cigars, and next thing you know, you got a whole new customer base, friends, for life.
That's right.
Absolutely. So that's
Absolutely.
great.
So
But
anyway, yeah, thanks for joining. I'm glad
yeah,
to. I'm sorry again. I'm sorry I missed you, but
no, I'm sorry I missed you too, but I hope your dog is going to get better and everything
he will.
settles down. Your wife gets to feeling better, and it's nice
He
to see
did
you
this.
online. You know,
He did this 5 years ago. On the other hand.
mm,
So I know exactly what the process is. He's got like about two months of twice a week rehabilitation sessions that he has to go to. All right. Plus, we have to do exercises with him every day. We got to walk him through it, and you got to work him up to that because he doesn't
yeah,
want to do them. Because
no, who does?
even a
Yeah,
human, you don't want to do this rehabilitation because it hurts, right? But
absolutely.
you gotta do it to strengthen and get those little micro tears and stuff. And he's on these meds, and the meds affect him.
Oh
2
yeah,
hours into an 8 hour med, he weirdly starts wanting, like, it's kind of like, I don't think it's pain. I just think it's he
disorientation.
yeah, I believe he's completely disoriented.
Yeah,
Exactly.
poor guy.
When it starts to peak, he gets all disoriented, and then eventually he just kind of like passes out and lays down and he goes to sleep. So
Yeah,
yeah, we'll get through it and he'll be fine.
yeah.
He's 11 years old. I think it's going to take a little longer this time, but
Oh
yeah,
yeah. No, I mean that's 77 in dog years. So you got
yeah,
to take into consideration. We're not spring chickens ourselves. I hit 50 this
no,
last month, and so it's like
no,
everything's slower.
not at
So
all. Unless you're a guy like me who's watching a video about a guy who's talking about the C6. I'm watching all these videos, and the guy's talking. He's a young guy, and he's talking about how you take the top off, right? Take the two latches out. You take the one in the back. You flip that, and you pop it out. And it's not light, but it's not heavy. You could hold it. You
yeah,
pop it out, and then you got to move it out. You got to hold it in your hands and move out of the seat. And he's like, you know, I don't, he goes, I don't know how a 65-year-old would do this. And I'm just laughing my ass off, going, I'm doing this every day. It's like, you want me to get on your video?
yeah. There you go.
I don't
Make
know
a
what
video.
65-year-olds but this is a perfect car for me.
That's fantastic.
I
That's
laugh.
fantastic. Well, good to
So,
see you, and we'll catch up. Hopefully soon.
okay. Well, that's it,
Take care.
folks. That's the show. Thanks for watching. We covered a lot of stuff today, and we'll see who we have on next week. I got to start lining people up from the show to bring them on, and we'll start having reviews of this. Well, everything from PCA probably doesn't get reviewed until about a month or so, 2 months out, because I let them rest from all the stuff. And if they don't work right, I always contact the brand owners and say, okay, got this thing at PCA, but guess what? It might just be the PCA cigar. We'll ignore that. So, but we'll get some people. We'll be getting more people on. So, and we'll have more of your reviews coming out, Lou, because I got a
Great.
few more on the schedule. I'm just going through that rotation.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
with that, everybody have a good time. Thank you everybody for watching, and thank the sponsors for sponsoring. Without them, it's always a little harder to do. And that's a wrap.